Dorky Asian TV wants us to talk about technology in South Korea.
I like your nickname. We're really digging ourselves a dorky pit. Last week I talked about like anime, manga, and manhwa.
Now we're talking about technologies. How about next week we talk about jazz flutes? Nobody likes to talk about jazz flutes?
I played the baritone in high school, so.
So we're going to talk about a lot of the cool things that we noticed with technology in South Korea. You might have some of these things in your country. We're not sure because we haven't been to every country in the world, but this is the stuff that really impresses us about South Korea.
Okay, I have the first one I want to talk about.
Go for it.
This might sound really dumb and lame, but it just really impresses me. If you're walking towards an escalator in Korea, the escalator's actually off, and then as you get towards it, it actually turns on as you're getting there, and then turns off when you're gone.
It's a motion detector one, so that it's not running non-stop. It's such a brilliant idea. Why don't they have that everywhere in the world?
And they even have it in like the parking lots in the grocery stores. Like when you drive up to a parking lot with a park, the lights are off, and the lights go on like the scene in Batman. Isn't that amazing? And then when you get out of your car and then you leave, it's not like it turns off automatically, because I know someone's gonna say, well, there could be someone hiding in the shadows, but you can't.
No, they're instantly illuminated because the light turns on.
Yeah, and it stays on
until you leave.
And then it turns off.
Speaking about parking, we just experienced probably the coolest thing ever when it comes to parking.
Oh my god, we talked about this for 10 minutes, which is how dorky we are.
So we went to the Google headquarters in Gangnam and we had to park underneath the building. There was no man there or anything that gave us a ticket. We just drove through. So we thought, okay, is it free parking for today or something? What's happening? Here's the most brilliant thing that's gonna blow your mind.
Okay, wait. You know when you go to a mall and you have to find a spot and you drive up and down, and then there's that dude who sees the same spot as you and you're like, woo! And you're like, my signal's on first!
You don't have to experience that at the Gangnam Finance Center, because above all the parking spots, you see a whole bunch of red lights, which means that all the spots are taken. If you see a green light, that means that that one is empty.
How have we not thought of this yet? Even like normal parking lots will tell you each level, like, you know, if there's like B1, B2, B3, it'll say, there's 30 spots left. Or like
it's full.
In fact, when you go to like a mall, like a normal mall in Korea, it will tell you outside how many levels there are to park and which ones are full.
Come on, guys.
Simple.
Do you have this in your country? Because I've never seen that in Canada. And even cool to that, when we left, we're like, okay, so how do we pay? There's this little box that wound up saying, okay, what's your license plate number? We typed it in and it took a picture of our license plate when we drove in. It said, okay, you've been here for 17 minutes. This is how much you have to pay. So we paid that money and we just drove out. As soon as we drove towards the arm, it automatically lifted because we paid.
There was no waste of paper. You don't have to worry about losing your ticket, unbuckle your seatbelt and like open the door and like get the ticket, and then people behind you are like, eh. None of that.
Brilliant.
These are the little things you take for granted, but that make your life better.
So much better.
And simpler, and they're environmentally friendly.
Moving on to smartphones, how about the fact that 97.7% of people aged 18 to 24 in South Korea have smartphones?
South Korea's new slogan, smartphones, everyone has them. What are you doing?
Hugging.
So you've got your fancy pants smartphone, do you? Well, is it going to work for you when you're 5 levels down on the subway?
Yes.
Yes, it will, actually.
Yeah.
All the subways are wired up with Wi-Fi and internet access in general.
Yep.
So you know that whole commercial that used to happen in North America? Can you hear me now?
I've never dropped a call. I've never had static. It's just perfect reception everywhere.
Now, I know that some people argue that it's because Korea's so small, while like, for example, Canada's so huge.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Toronto's subway line is like Kipling to here. It's like, and then there's like, ooh, ooh.
You so much as look at a tunnel and then you lose your reception right away.
Those of you who are in Toronto will know. Exit the subway and you start heading towards Old Mill. You hold your phone and you're like, come on, Frank, no. If there's an emergency, I can't call anyone.
Yeah, that's it. You're screwed. Rising, can you hear me now? No, because I'm dead.
Moving on to home technologies.
Our apartment was fairly recently built. It was built in 2012 and it has some of the coolest things we have ever seen in any apartment. I really feel like I'm living in the future with this thing.
So in North America, you bring a key everywhere you go. If you forget your key, you're locked out, you're screwed. I've called my parents so many times. I've crawled in through back windows.
Yeah, I did the same. I had to climb up the side of my wall.
The point is,
you don't have to do that in South Korea, because if you don't have your key, you could just swipe up and enter your code and the door automatically unlocks.
So majority majority of houses have a handle, and then here there's like a keypad, and so you just type in your keypad code, and it goes like doo-doo-doo, and it just opens. And when you close it, you just let go for a second, and it'll go like doo-doo-doo.
Does it all automatically for you?
And you can also carry a metallic key with you if you want.
So here's ours for our apartment right here. So this little dangly thingy right here, if I don't want to enter my key code, I just like push it up against the lock and it automatically unlocks it for me.
Isn't that awesome?
Here's something even cooler. This bad boy right here attached to my key, this is the coolest thing that I've ever experienced in my apartment. If we walk towards the elevator, if I have this in my pocket, it will not only call the elevator for me so I don't have to push a button, it will also press my floor number for me. So in case I'm walking there with like 2 big shopping bags, I don't have to put them on the ground and push a button. This thing automatically does it for me.
It also automatically opens the front door, which is locked by a guard.
Yes.
So you walk towards the door and the guard recognizes you and they're like, oh, annyeonghaseyo, and then the door automatically opens because of your key.
Yep.
And then it calls the elevator because of your key.
Right.
And then it calls your elevator floor.
Isn't that brilliant? This is the future, guys.
But what happens if you drop your key? Can't someone just break into your house?
Won't they have to know where you live first? And isn't that the same with just about like every single key in the world?
Also, you don't write your house number on your key.
My house is come to me. Another really cool thing inside of our house is that on our wall we have the smart panel kind of monitor thing. For example, if somebody rings the doorbell,
Bing bong.
I could see who they are. So that's from the first floor. So I can see from the first floor who they are. And from the smart panel, I could unlock the door. So I could unlock it from the living room without having to go all the way to the front door to unlock it.
And don't forget your favorite place to unlock the door.
What happens if somebody rings the doorbell and you're making a poop? Let me tell you, right beside the pooper, there's a little intercom system. So if somebody rings the doorbell, I can say, who is it? And they'll be like, oh, it's me, Martina. And I'll be like, hold on a sec. And I push a thing and it automatically unlocks the door while I'm pooping.
Question. Can they see you through the picture panel?
No, because it's not a two-way camera.
Question. Why did you say it was Martina? I obviously can't get locked out of my own house.
Well, you sometimes forget. Well, I don't know. It was you're the only name I think of because you're my lovely ducky.
Because we don't have any friends.
Yeah.
Other cool things about the panel, you can actually check the stats of your home, like how much electricity have I been consuming.
Right.
You can set the lights to turn on and turn off at a certain time. If there's mail waiting for you downstairs, they have like a little note feature.
If I'm about to leave the apartment, I could call the elevator from the panel so that when I walk to the elevator, it's already waiting for me. And also, probably one of the smartest things about our kitchen is that a lot of people, when they come to our house, when they try to use our sink, like the faucet doesn't actually work. Like, what happened to your water? It's a solar-powered floor panel, so you gotta step on it to turn on the water.
It's hands-free.
So what happens if you have like icing sugar all over your hands? You don't have to touch the faucet because
you're
step
apparently
on it.
a huge fatty.
Because
you mixes icing with your hand.
Raw chicken.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I have some raw chicken juice on my hand from going,
oh no, hurry up!
Salmonella.
Runs to the washroom. Bing bong. It's okay. I can answer the door. Okay, the first time I saw that was at my friend's house in Korea, and I was like an idiot, like for 5 minutes, like turning it on, looking for the buttons. She's like, you just push the floor pedal. And I'm like, you just push the floor pedal. How am I supposed to know that? And now I get to do it to my friends.
When we first got into the studio, when we tried to use this, I kept on like, water! Water!
The downside of technology.
So we're going to talk about some more cool Korean technology in our blog post. Make sure you click on the link here if you want to read more about the future.
My question for you today is this. Do you have similar technologies in your own home country, or are these totally new to you? And what are some cool things that you have in your country that kind of blew your mind the first time you saw them?
Well, if you grew up with it, then it really blow your mind because you were with it.
Because you were with it and hip. I really have a feeling people living in Dubai have super cool future stuff.
Probably.
You guys have awesome stuff, I'm sure of it. You're like, our elevators know when we're approaching.
We have jetpacks.
we don't. So our last special edition TLDR, we had our friend Jen from Head to Toe talk about her experiences of being a Korean American returning to Korea.
And a lot of the comments were just absolutely wonderful. You guys shared so many experiences about your ideas of culture identity and what that means to you, and we had fantastic conversations going on in the comments.
Rose Fang on our website said that she grew up in Colorado and then she moved to Alabama, and even though it was in America, she said it was like moving to an entirely new world. She said she spent her first 3 months asking people to like repeat themselves because she didn't even know what words they were using. She said she had major culture shock and she felt like if you're not from Alabama, you are essentially an outsider.
That's pretty much like our major feeling about like the USA. It doesn't really seem like one country, but like 50 different countries mixed into one. And I have no idea how you have like any any agreement on anything.
It's just like Europe to me. It has like all these different countries and different languages.
Also, another really interesting comment from our website is from MLE, who is a socio-cultural anthropology major. And they did a class on ethnicity and identity. Basically, to sum up the class, there is no theory of ethnicity. There are only different ways in which we identify ourselves in different situations. According to this class, ethnicity is very fluid, which is pretty much what we were talking about with Jen in her video and also in our blog post as well, and in all of your comments too. So am I Canadian or am I Polish? Or am I Polish, Canadian, Korean / German? Because Germany just won the World Cup, so I kind of want to be a little bit German now.
Did you have schnitzel?
I did once!
Oh my God.
That totally makes me German.
That's right.
Right.
I really like Rammstein.
Well, there you go.
I'm like 5%.
We won.
World Cup.
I practically
World Cup.
scored the goal myself.
I know, me too. I'm sure somewhere along the line we're related to one of those people.
There you go.
There you go. Moral of the story is we won the World Cup.
What were we talking about again?
No one knows. Just walk away.